My name is Betty Salambi, and I'm a junior at Chickawaga Central High School. And this slideshow presentation will be a culmination of the research I did about racial inequality in education throughout this past school year. This initiative means so much to me because growing up in Baltimore, Maryland, the schools weren't really the best. The schools were underfunded, the classrooms were small, and the materials were worn out, old, and just not usable for us. And comparing that, moving to
You might.
and I moved to Buffalo, and my education experiences have been much more improved compared to Baltimore. So in this next video clip I'm going to show you guys, it's detailing the Buffalo City Schools District.
Baltimore City Schools reaches an alarming low in student performance.
As Project Baltimore's Chris Papps has learned, nearly half of high school students in Baltimore City this year earned a grade point average below a 1.
They take.
When Giovanni Patterson ran for Baltimore City Council president last year,
Yet, despite the amount of money they get, we don't see much change.
he ran on a platform that included accountability in education.
Our schools outspend 97% of other major school districts.
And when Project Baltimore showed him how Baltimore City students have been doing this year,
This is terrible.
here is how he reacted.
This is just further perpetuating this cycle of poverty, blight, despair.
This chart was assembled by Baltimore City Schools and obtained by Project Baltimore. It shows the average GPA for every high school grade in the city, freshman through senior. In the first 3 quarters of this past school year, according to the chart, 41% of all Baltimore City high school students earned below a 1.0 grade point average. In other words, nearly half of the roughly 20,600 public high school students in Baltimore earned less than a D average.
It's heartbreaking. If almost half of our kids are failing, what options do they have after high school? This is really disheartening. It's sad to see this, man.
On the other end of this chart, 21% of city high school students earned a GPA of 3.0 or better, a B average. About half as many who earned below a D. We can also see the district lost more than 700 high school students during the first 3 quarters of this year.
In January, City School CEO Dr. Sonia Santelises first sounded the alarm, saying the course failure rate for students had nearly doubled during the COVID shutdowns. A few months later in May, North Avenue announced students would not be held back for failing classes. This most recent GPA data could show us why North Avenue made that decision.
During the second quarter of the 2019-2020 school year, just before COVID hit, 24% of high school students had a GPA below 1. Now, it's 41%. City schools declined an interview, but told us in a statement the COVID-19 pandemic created significant disruptions to student learning. Starting this summer and beyond, City Schools is providing students with a variety of opportunities to acquire the unfinished learning they lost.
It's not gone. It's not going anywhere.
City Council President Nick Mosby, who defeated Patterson in the election, is reportedly under investigation by the U.S. Department of Justice concerning campaign finances, business, and tax records. Project Baltimore emailed and called Mosby's office, requesting an interview to discuss these numbers concerning student GPAs. We never heard back.
These people don't care, man. They come from the same environment. You know, Nick Mosby is a product of Baltimore City Schools. Brandon Scott's a product of Baltimore City Schools, and they see what's going on. But then when you bring this to them, they don't care. They don't care at all. You have to raise the standard. Everyone should be speaking out about this.
Project Baltimore reached out to the other school systems in our area requesting their GPA data. We were told by all of them that it's not readily available. I'm Chris Pabst, and this is Project Baltimore.
Okay, so before we really get into my presentation, I want us to get a background look into what racial inequality is. So I want to ask all of you guys, do you have an idea as to what racial inequality is? All right, so if you guys say yes, if you can give me some answers, what you guys think it is?
Racial inequality can be. I'm sorry, I don't know.
Okay, so no one else? All right, so
Hold on, I got something for you.
Okay.
Racial inequality is things not being equal, or equal as being all things given out in comparison to a particular race. So maybe somebody has better services than another individual because of where they're located or based upon race.
So racial inequality could be defined as the social inequality of advantages and disparities that affect different races within the United States. These could also be seen as a result of historic oppression, inequality of inheritance, or racism and prejudice, especially against minority groups. So some examples of these throughout time have been the Jim Crow laws, which separated whites and non-white students into separate schools, where the white students had better resources, had more advantages, and overall had a much better opportunity. But some examples that I've shown here are Ruby Bridges being escorted to school by federal marshals. We have two examples of some segregated classrooms, and we have people protesting the result of Brown versus Board of Education, which officially ended segregation in schools. And this next video clip I have shown will be a video of Ruby Bridges being led into school by the federal marshals.
The governor of the great state of Louisiana says you cannot enter.
Thank you, sir. The President of the United States says that I can.
Alright, so are there any thoughts or takeaways on this video?
It's sad to see definitely how many people are against it.
Yeah, especially because this Ruby Bridges was going into kindergarten, so a 5-6-year-old child being bombarded with all this hate, all just because of her skin color. Okay, so people cannot afford to live in better districts. According to an article by news organization Education Week, 1/3 of America's annual spending on K through 12 public schools are covered by local property taxes. What this means is that schools in lower income areas cannot afford to get more funding, which means that people in those lower income areas, typically minorities, can't go into higher income schools, which means they can't get the same resources and they're not able to get the same opportunities as those around them. And this next video clip I have would be showing and explaining how poverty can affect education and learning.
Poverty to my family, not having had breakfast that morning or dinner the night before, I'm not going to be able to pay attention in class. It's very basic, and I think often we try to get very intellectual about it, but it's just that. I can't pay attention if my other needs aren't being met. I want to learn, and until my basic needs are met, I'm not going to be prepared to learn. And so that's from the student and family perspective. And I think poverty in terms of our schools and the adults in the schools, it's the conditions that, you know, whether it's lack of resources, lack of books, lack of air conditioner, lack of heating. I mean, all of these components have an impact on not just the students learning, but the adults who are in the building as well and their ability. I mean, you sometimes see, we talk about chronic absenteeism, but there's adult absenteeism too. And people want a paycheck. They want to be able to deliver in their profession, but if the conditions aren't there, whether physically or even just culturally, where I feel comfortable teaching and supported, then, you know, it's kind of a two-way street. Poverty impacts the facility as well as the young people and families coming into that school. And, you know, to me, it's very basic, you know, in terms of you need to, I don't care if you take a nap in my classroom because you didn't have a bed to sleep in the night before. That's important for me. So then maybe later in the afternoon, you'll be able to pay attention, right? And hopefully I can give you an environment where you have a comfortable chair that's not breaking.